this panel, we're going to do things a bit different. It's about beats and business. It's the value chain, especially for younger producers, songwriters who want to get started. So that's the agenda here. Those who are, I saw some hands go up when we talked about producers in the house. Let me see you guys. Producers, keyboard players, people who write songs for a living. So that's primarily our focus for this panel. I think it's super important to have it. And I'll do a quick round of introductions for everyone, for you guys to know who they are and what they've done. Starting right here is Polycarp. I don't know if you guys know him. He's a master producer, brilliant guitarist, and for me, one of my best songwriters. Like, New Lemse. And I don't look like it, but from when I heard their music back in the days when they were at Alliance, just hustling. Polycarp, man.
Thank you very much, man.
Troy, someone I got introduced to last year. He's the guy you guys need to know. He's done everything. Working on the label side from Sony, working on the brand side, working on the touring side. Kenya is his home right now. He's also worked at EXP, yes? So he brings in a wealth of experience from turning especially artists and their art into cash. Like, he has insights, even me, I want to be his intern. So
you cost too much.
So that is Troy, and he has a wealth of experience. If you know Sade, if you know Shabaranks, if you guys have seen gold plaques in the films, like the ones that guys have on their walls, not at Tunanunua Vinyl, Kenyatta Market, then we spray silver on it. He has the real shit. Yeah, sorry.
Oops. I've got the real shit.
He has the real on his wall. So this is the guy you need to know. Tumi is a publisher at Shia. She is, if you're a songwriter, you're a producer.
Oh, yeah, in a nutshell, but basically focusing on the lyrics and the music production, because that's what you would assign, you know, like, as a producer and a songwriter, you would assign those rights to the publisher. So it's not necessarily like dealing with the full song per se, because we only have like half of the rights of the songs, if you know what I mean, as the record label would have the other half. So yeah, in a nutshell, it's like basically dealing with the lyrics and the music production.
Brilliant. The biggest radio presenter in the country, and she's really cool people. Really cool people. For me, the reason why she's on this panel is because of something that she started doing personally, which is at KISS, helping determine the NR process, which is what songs are, like she's passionate about this. Getting younger artists, guys who don't have that connection, like if your stuff is good, like I know she's actively seeking new songs. I don't know anyone of that caliber in the country right now, and I know all of them, where they'll actually look for new songs without attitudes on the side, new shoes, whatever. Like she's legit. And I think in the value chain of songs, you need radio. Radio is, I mean, streaming is good, the internet is great, lakini, we all need radio. Sindio? That's why she's there. So, last but not least is DJ Krem, who is seated right there.
Yeah.
And Krem, I think, anyway, the reason why, for me, it is important, because as I've seen it in our ecosystem, why we fight with DJs. I don't know if this happens in other countries, but Kenya, there's this whole huge beef, animosity with DJs. Yet for me, they're the final step. You have the hot song that is produced or written for you. You have the guys who are plugging your songs. It's playing on radio. But without the DJ, hakuna kazi tunafanya. Ukweli ama uongo? Ni ukweli. So for me, it was important to have Krem here, who is not only one of the busiest and most prolific DJs we have, but who is also he's really traveling in and around Kenya, in and around the world, but also actively plugging songs. For me, everyone here who's on this panel is guys who are not doing this for the commerce, like they are passionate about it. So that's my panel, and I think what I'll do is just set up a couple of questions, then after that we take it from you guys. Cool? Sawa. So I think my first question will go to Polycarp, like how did you get started? What was the thing that broke you, and how did you know you were good? Because everyone thinks that they are good. Like what's your songwriting and production process?
Yeah.
And now with the people on the panel, like at what point did you come into?
Thank you so much, Tim. Well, how I began as a producer mainly came out of necessity in the band, because for the longest time we had issues with producers not delivering on time or not being reliable. And being in a band, you can split up roles, and be like, you can do this. And you challenge yourself when you're in a band. As a solo artist as well. So some of us picked up production. So that was me and Savara. And when we began with the Live and Die in Africa album, which is when we began producing our first record together as a band. And I mean, it saved us a lot of time. We were very efficient, and it made a lot of business sense for us as a band when it picked up. And it's something that I've wanted to do for a long time to become a producer. It's just that the process became hastened by the fact that, out of need for necessity, rather, for the band. So, I mean, and as a producer, you need to believe in yourself as well. Because when I started out, I didn't have much knowledge as a producer. I had mentors, the likes of Sedo, Yulopa. You have people above you who teach you stuff. Yourself, you're there as well. Musioka. And you just learn as much as you can from these people. And you do your research. I mean, nowadays, we are lucky. Everything is online, You can get a course online. You can get as much info as you want online. And that really helped us as a band. And the process in Sauti Soul, first of all, I want to clarify something, that songwriting includes lyrics and music. So I major on writing the music in the band. So I mean, the process is almost seamless within us because we have the roles split up amongst ourselves. And I mean, I've never looked back since then. It's been 3 years now producing. And I mean, I believe in myself and believe I'm good.
Maybe, Troy, maybe you jump into that with a specific question for, these guys have made it, but as someone who's done this for a while and navigated both sides, when someone says they're a young producer or songwriter, and I know maybe your expertise is primarily in the US and maybe European market, what is it that you're looking for? Like, how do you know? Is there a formula? Like, what is it?
First off, I have a big mouth, so I hope I'm not too loud. First off, is that, do they have that passion? And a lot of people look at this business like it's extra sexy and it's fun and all that kind of stuff. Shoot, last night I was in a club from 3 to 6 a.m. because I had an artist performing. Then I had to get up at 8 a.m. because I coach basketball in the slums here. And then from there, I'm here. Like, it doesn't stop. So if you're a producer, if you're a writer, if you're an artist, the first thing I look is passion. If you really got that fire in you to make it happen, or if you got a tough night, you won't fold. Or if you got a long week of touring or whatever, and you're like, I don't really think I'm going to make that morning show, which I'm sure you've seen many a time with artists out all night, and then they miss the morning show interview, which is the most important interview you could ever have, and you miss it because your butt was out all night and you can't get up in the morning. Like, that's if you have that type of work ethic, you'll never freaking make it in this business. You might make it to a certain plateau, but then you're going to stop. And only the great ones, along with that creativity, which you need in producing, but if you have that work ethic and that fire, and that ability and that will to just run through walls, even if you're tired, you know, you'll make it to that highest plateau, along with creativity. And I think creativity is lacking in, I'm not ganging up on all you young people out there, but creativity within this generation in music, everybody wants to sound like the next hot guy, you know, and that doesn't create longevity in this business. Creativity creates longevity in this business. And that's why there's so many artists and producers that are one-hit wonders. They come out with an album, yeah, it's hot, everybody's playing it, but you ain't hearing from them 3 years later, you know, because they don't have any creativity. You know, so I hope I answered your question.
Can I add on to that, please? I mean, what you said is very true. And I always tell people who are, you know, I don't like to call them upcoming artists, but just people who have the talent, that the talent is just 10% of what you give. The rest is complete hard work and nothing else. Like, just believe you can always get better with each day. And getting better, you have to put in work. So as he says, you know, there are one-hit wonders who come up with a great hit, and after that they cannot, you know, top up or get to that level because they're not working hard. So it's just hard work, full stop.
I mean, I was going to add something along the lines of what they've touched on grind. For a lot of young producers and songwriters here, normally I've seen you either a guitarist, then producer means, at least in our setting, that you know your way around a computer or a sampler and you can make a beat. Sindio? Yes? Cool. So one thing that I've seen that is super helpful is something that he touched on getting a mentor. I don't know, like I've seen it with the Daystar class that I was teaching, where the younger guys, you guys, I don't know if it's because we intimidate you, but that whole collaboration is not there. Because that's how you sharpen your skills as an instrumentalist. Because you can stay in your house and you can be on your keyboard or on your whatever platform you're using. For me, I really don't care. But if you're not sharpening yourself, so by the time the song is getting to her, like, she will be able to tell. And I think I want even to go more technical and maybe address this to Tumi. For example, I'm a young producer who thinks it's really hot, and I've bumped into you at ONGEA. Yes, and I have these songs. Like, where do you come in, and do you give technical advice? Or for you, your whole thing is yes, no, sax, on, off? Like, what's the process?
So, you know, it's a little bit different working for, you know, the publishing side. It's not necessarily like the record label where you would actually try and find the next sound, the next big thing. Publishing is more general in the sense that you are basically trying to protect the client's copyright. So your whole mission is to basically, like you said, find a home in a way, and that would speak to placements, but there's more to it than just finding a home. It's, you know, yeah, finding a home, but like just making sure that even out of that home, when the music is used everywhere else in the world, it's used, you know, in a correct manner, it's used fairly, and in a way you're trying to make sure that the income would then come back to the copyright owner. So it's basically more on, you know, we can't really chase away anyone and say, well, I think this sucks, or I think this is not going to make it. You need to listen to the client and find out where they've placed their music or where they're planning to take their music, and see how you can then, you know, go through that journey with them to protect their music once it's out there, and to also, you know, find other opportunities for their work. On a personal level, like, obviously I'd like to listen to the music and see if it's not something that would spark an idea at that point in time and see if it's not something that I could pass on to the contacts that I have, or a certain brand that I think would find it interesting, or, you know, we always go the extra mile. I can have my 2 cents worth and be like, ooh, I don't think this is hot, but I don't work with promoting the music and getting the music out there. So in a way, I also don't really know what could actually work, you know? And if you chase someone away, I mean, we've had like such experiences where, you know, like, I think it was David's story where he was like, Mendoza came into the office at some point when he was still like unknown. And he was like, oh, listen to my stuff. And he listened to it. And as a white man listening to a Kwaito track, he was just like, what is this? Like, I don't think this is going to work. And, you know, the next day, like, Mendoza was big and he was hot. And, you know, so as a publisher, really, we're not in a position to say, well, I don't think this is going to work. What, you know, we focus more on going through the journey with your creative work and helping you out in terms of how we can make sure that your work is protected and how we can try and find other opportunities for your work.
I think if I could circle back now to Adele, touching on what she said about it from placements, but then also rejection, which is very, all of us have dealt with rejection, yes? Like,
I think we have.
Cindy, yes? Can I see that hand? Hallelujah. Yeah. As producers, primarily producers, artists don't get that much rejection, but producers, my God, you do a fire beat in the house, or you write this song, then exactly that's, are you seeing how she's laughing? Like what would you...
So I
like
don't...
one,
Yeah.
the rejection, and then maybe talk about rejection from the song perspective,
Yeah.
unplugging the song, and like what would you tell these youngins? And then two, what is hot? Like your radio, your slot in the morning is money in the bank. Like a song gets played there, you can make or break a young producer, songwriter, artist career. Like what do you define, or what is hot?
Okay. So first with rejection, I think I haven't rejected producers, okay? But I have rejected artists. Not because your song is not good or is not great, but it's just not for the station I work for. Each station has its different, you know, mission, vision, sound. And for us, we are a hit station. And that's why when you say Kiss, people will be like, they play the same songs over and over. But it's the formula that we work with. And each and every song is tested with our audience and is scored, right? And every week, we trace how a song is doing. If we inject a new song, you'll hear songs, and not just like African or Kenyan, but like international songs. There's some that could be hitting in the States, right? And we'll test them on our station because they're like, okay, it seems like this is a hit globally, but it doesn't work for Kenya. After a week, you track it and you're like, there's little or no reaction to it, so scrap that, right? So your rejection might not be that your song is whack or anything like that, and I'm very, you know, categorical in saying that. But it's probably not working for the station. For example, what would work on a hip-hop show, Corinne's show on Homeboys, is probably not going to play on my breakfast show, right? So two different stations, so you have to really understand that your song is a product. So let's say it is Bamba 50. I hope Safcom is not any of the sponsors. Okay. Let's say it's a Bamba 50, right? I'm not going to go into, think of the top CEOs and sell them a Bamba 50 scratch card, right? I'll go in there with like a plan for them to pay every monthly or whatever, like a postpaid type of thing, right? So, or let's say it's milk. I'm not going to come and sell milk to people I know who don't drink milk. So it's also good to kind of understand your song. Yes, there's creativity, but who are you targeting with it as well? Because it is a product at the end of the day if you want to make money or get airplay out of it. I think another thing to also be clever about, and I was so happy when we finally started playing Calligraph's music on heavy airplay on Kiss, because I love hip-hop. Like, I love hip-hop, and it used to kill me every day to jump out of my car listening to Akina Kali and stuff, get into studio and not being able to share that with the audience because it wasn't testing well. And then he did the song,
Mikasa?
Yego. No, Yego.
Oh, Yego.
Yego. And Yego was on, it's a power song. It was a power song on Kiss, meaning it gets played every second hour, right? A hip-hop song. And so what was clever about it is that his content was testing right. The sound may not have been like something that is super commercial, but the content, everybody was singing Julius Yego's praises then, and you know, like I know he's not talking about sports in the song, but you get what I mean, right? The timing was spot on, and every time I played it, I was like, yes, this is a win. So, I mean, rejection, I don't think is saying, go home, zima all the mics, burn all the songs that you've ever produced. No, it's just saying, okay, go back to the drawing board and see who am I targeting, right? Maybe my sound is for Capital, or maybe my sound is for a certain show on Capital, or a certain show on Homeboys, or you know what? This can be an actual hit song for Kiss. What was your second question?
I think you've answered it.
Did I?
You have.
There's one thing I want to add onto what she said that's super important. I'm glad someone way older than me told me this when I was like 23. It's called Suzanne Gashuga, my former boss, for find what you're really good at. What she's saying, targeting. At that time, because I was just an in-house engineer producer, I recorded a lot of anything that came through. Music, I did it on the side, like my own. So I had to record a lot of Lingala, Bosoko Loko, Moko Loko. That music, me, I don't feel it. But
Really?
Really dope, though.
I don't think it's dope, but as you said, it's not for, like, I was good at recording it,
Yeah.
but Yani, it's not my thing at all, right? And so Suzanne was like, you know, Tim, like, you don't have to do, like, if you're not passionate about this thing, especially in our profession that's both technical and also because being a producer is everything else. Being a beat maker is being able to use your software and whatever. Being a songwriter is being able to string words and melody that inspire and bring an emotion. But a producer is all those things. You're a shrink, you're an engineer, you're a plugger, you know, to shake hands. So I remember she said, find that space that works for you. So I think there's that pressure where we feel when you're coming up. Like I like what he did where 3-4 years ago, that whole new Nairobi sound was not there. EA Wave, yes? He's just lengaing. He's like, Team, what the fuck? So these guys have created a niche. Me, I don't get it. Like, and he knows. But there's an audience, guys are paying, and because he found the thing that worked for him.
And let me just add on something else. Yes, this is what I'd forgotten. 2 people. So when you're doing your own thing, right, and you're gathering a following, and it seems like maybe mainstream media is not giving you that breakthrough, we're watching. For the first example is Vicmas. Vicmas used to send me emails every other week. He had a new song that he was sending to me, and what I loved, like, I was like, this guy, he's so formal. And I always used to like read his emails. I'm like, let's listen. But the music didn't necessarily work for Kiss at that time, but I was watching. And when I had the original of Banco Tuch, I was like, okay, just come, because I think there's something here. There's something here. It might not get heavy, like become a power song, but it'll introduce you to a totally different market. So let's do this. And so you never know who is watching. Like, we're all, as much as you might not hear it on air, but we're very alert, because also it's not my mother's station, so. and I can't do it. But the second guy is Ray. And when I was really, really young in radio, I caught a feeling, because he hadn't sent me a song to premiere, and he used to send me the songs, and I was like, I thought we were boys, like, I want to be the first to play it. And he told me, this one is not for you. Are you hearing? I'm singing like this, the beat is this, so that's why I went to Ghetto Radio. This one is not for you. And true to that, when I sent it to our music head, he was like, what station is this one meant to play on? None of it. It doesn't work with any of our stations. And someone like that who's been in the game for so many years has really understood that there are times he'll bring a song, which is a love song, he's sung in Kiswahili, not because, okay, yes, it's patriotic and that's so nice, but it's because he understands I'm trying to get Kiss FM's market that's out of Nairobi. You get? So there's a lot of method to the madness as well.
Maybe you add something onto...
Yeah, I was going to say what you talked about doing, what you're good at. I mean, only you can do that to perfection, what you're good at. So when you stick to, like, you're working on your strengths and just taking it to perfection level, then only you can, take it to the next level. And also, what she talked about, the formula that they use to play music. What determines a hit is the fans and nothing else. It's just the fans. And that's the same module that you guys use. So the fans listen to the music and they rate it, and then it gets airplay. I remember our first song to be played on radio was Lazizi. And this came from just people calling in Kiss all the time. We need to listen to this song on radio, listen to this song on radio. And it got played, but then it wasn't a radio-friendly, kind of song. But then it's the fans that made the song big. So once you do what you're good at and the fans love it, it's the best expression of yourself that nobody else can copy. Yeah.
Cool. Before we go into a Q&A session, I strongly feel it would have been great to have Krem here to give us the DJ perspective, especially on what is it called? On growing your fan base, because no one other than DJs know how to do that. So I'm going to pull a suicide, okay? I'm going to ask Space to come onto stage.
Karibu stage, Space.
That's DJ Space, guys. He's like, this is not scripted, but he...
Makofi.
It's suicidal, but...
Wait, can I add on something?
Yeah.
You know when you were introing us and you said it plays on radio and then it plays in clubs? Not for every song. Like in radio, we actually send people to clubs to find out what's popping and what we've missed out on. So as much as artists will fight with DJs, they're so integral because we find out new music from what they're playing as well.
Cool. So, brief introduction, that's Arthur Wandera, also called DJ Space. You've seen him everywhere. That matters. Cook Studio, he's the in-house DJ, he's a music producer. He's done a lot of cool things. And then also, he's a taste maker. If you want to break your song, that's the guy to give your jam to. Because we are on your cartel. But then most importantly, I think if Krem comes, he'll have this seat. I think it's important in a conversation for beats and business, what he's talking about, growing your fan base, now to have the DJ opinion. For me, I think it's super important. We've talked about grit, we've talked about the songwriting process, we've talked about what he looks for as from the label, from a touring side. But I think now, before we go into the Q&A, I think what would be important is just between you and Troy, because this is now where the meat meets. Us guys can do jams. Right? We can do songs, but if the guy who is going to be shopping us and shopping the songs and the person who is playing them, what do DJs like? Again, what is hot? Because even me, I'm looking for the formula, and I think all these guys would want to know.
For the formula.
Like, what is it? And this is just as someone who's done this for over 15 years. Okay. I know it's a suicide. Like, you've just walked in, I was like, my problem has been solved.
Okay. At least you should have given me time to get some notes or study. So, hi, everyone. From a DJ's perspective, maybe I should just give an example first. Like, there's a time, I'm sure most of you know Red Sun. And Red Sun was blacked out from media, conventional media. And a lot of stations never played his music, I think for like 3 or 4 years. But what Red did is we used to play in like 10 clubs. So Red Sun used to make sure he premieres all his songs into the club, from Tropez, Polo, Resoras, you know, Galileo. And most of his jams were bangers in the club. And an average club has rotation of about 1,000 people. Average, you know, maybe 500 to 700. So yes, DJs are very integral. Even in our strategy, when we release music, we do work with DJs. In terms of strategy, I think it's hard, and Troy will probably tell you, if you look at hip-hop history, before there was competition between DJs, Jazzy Jeff, DJ Premier, which DJ released the hottest MC in the market, and how it was in hip-hop history. You know, a lot of hip-hop music was released by the DJs. And what the DJ said was cool is what the station then would pick it up and put it on rotation, you know? And all those DJs did not become producers by default, but it was like part of the art. So I'm Jazzy Jeff, and this is Will Smith, and I'll make this guy big. And all content that goes or spreads, it was a bit of business, but also ego-driven. You know, the coolest DJ had the coolest MC, you know, from KRS-One, Run DMC, you know, Dazzy FX, all those guys. And also, going back to someone like Mad Trucks, when he premiered Boda Boda for us, Mad Trucks used to come to Resoras every weekend and would play the jam and play the song, and by default, he ended up shooting the video, Get Down, at the same venue, because that was like his hub. Artists who are smart, in my opinion, always get attached to one or two DJs who end up pushing their music. Right now, Naiboy is Exclusive's boy. You know, trust me, Exclusive will put Naiboy's music before your music any day. And he'll push that stuff and push it and push it. It's the same Will Smith and Jazzy Jeff story. In terms of the sound, I think sometimes it's just preference, you know, and how cool this DJ feels that he resonates with this other MC. It's networks and connections. You know, if I like Troy and Adele as artists and we're cool like that, then for sure I'm going to prioritize what their music is about. So it's about the networking and the clusters that you end up building. But then again, also, there's music for the club and music that's not for the club.
Yeah, how do you, that's not what I was going to say.
Yes.
How do you push, because not everyone here does pop music, yes? Yeah. How do you, because whether I do pop music or not, yeah, how do you, because it's important, maybe you, because I know you worked with Sade, yes?
No, I want to actually, I'll jump on that.
Yeah.
I want to touch what he was just talking about.
Yeah.
If you guys know your hip-hop history, you know that whole East-West Coast thing. The first artist, and I actually was blessed to work on this song, the first West Coast record to ever get any play in New York was the deep cover song by Snoop and Dr. Dre. That song, Force, when Adele was talking about how the public brings it to you, the DJs in New York did not want to play it on radio at all because it was a West Coast record. In New York, DJs on the radio stations did not at that time play any West Coast music at all. But we forced that record down their throats so damn hard. I got Public Enemy to open up at the Apollo and come out to the deep cover beat. That was freaking history. Once Public Enemy came out onto the Apollo, which is in Harlem in New York, to deep cover, it set that city on fire in regards, and this was before social media. This was all word of mouth. And all the DJs saw the public in the crowd and saw the New Yorkers going crazy over a West Coast record. That Monday, every station in New York was playing deep cover. You know, sometimes you can force radio to play your record. Mm-hmm. It didn't have a New York sound, but it had that energy. It was hot. And if it's hot, you gotta freaking play it. You know, if the people are calling in and they're like, yo, why aren't you playing this? you can force radio sometimes to play your stuff. But Deep Cover was creative. The beat was out of this freaking world, in the top 10 greatest hip-hop beats of all time. You know, it forced a genre and it opened up a door for West Coast music to be played on the East Coast, that one record. So you should be able to look at yourself as a producer and be like, you know what? Kenya ain't playing me right now, but they're going to be playing me. Mm-hmm. You got to, and I'm going back to that energy. Like, you got to believe. You were talking about belief.
Yeah.
You got to believe. If you don't believe in your stuff, ain't nobody going to believe in your stuff. You got to believe that you're the hottest producer in the entire world. And that energy, when you're producing, I believe in energy. So when an artist comes into a studio, if they're coming in there and they got a funky attitude or a bad attitude, that energy, I personally believe, because I've seen it, goes into the music. And then when that music goes out and is played in people's cars or on the radio or whatever, it's not hitting the people's ears properly. But if you go in and you're producing and you feel good and the artist feels good and you're in the studio and you're like, oh, this shit is unbelievable, that energy goes into your music. And then when it's played, it slaps people upside the head. And they're like, yo, this is hot. They feel your energy. So, you know, what was your second drum?
Vilo Mesema, yes.
Yeah.
So I think if I could summarize before we go into Q&A, because I think it's important, it's a mixture of everything. For me, I think as a songwriter, as a producer, you must be good. Like, you must be good. Not good for your friends, your boyfriend or girlfriend or your parents. You must be good, right?
Can I say something?
Yeah.
We were talking about being right and wrong on stuff.
Yeah.
I have no problem telling you, he was talking about all my accolades. When I first met Snoop, I was like, he's not going to make it. I was butt-ass wrong because of his energy. Like, when he came in the meeting and they were playing, he was just sitting there, and he's very laid back, very quiet. And at the time, rappers were like, you know, he was full of energy, and he was just, I was like, I don't think he got it. But then when I heard the Deep Cover record, I was like, that's not the same dude that was sitting in the meeting with me. You know, so sometimes you can be butt wrong, and I've been wrong plenty of times. I've been right more than wrong, you know, but it's okay to be wrong because you'll learn from it, you know.
Can I say something?
Yeah.
I'm just thinking of, like, Lauryn Hill's song, Superstar, where she says, music is supposed to inspire. You know, how come we ain't getting no higher? It's very important, you know, as a creative, as producers, songwriters, to actually be relevant, you know. Look out into your community and see what's going wrong, you know, see what people are talking about and like, just try to send a message across, try to inspire, you know, do what you love and, like, speak to your people. Like, even this whole thing of just finding a sound that is new to Kenya, or a sound that will be like a Kenyan sound in a way that you can take to the world, instead of, like, looking at what's already out there, like the R&B and the hip-hop and what people are already doing out there. Like, try to come up with something that will identify who Kenyans are. Like, that's the most important, I think.
Can I just make an appeal again? I always make these appeals with artists in our WhatsApp group whenever it gets close to Christmas and birthdays, because I'm big on using your music as a product and it's a business, right? On radio, if you study this person who's meant to be playing your music, and you listen to our shows, you'll always hear us wishing someone a happy birthday. Somebody's like, oh, it's my birthday, or it's what. And I never have a Kenyan urban song. And I've said it for years in our WhatsApp group. Guys, I need a birthday song, because guess what? I will have to play it, and I don't have to justify myself to my boss, regardless of if it's a hardcore hip-hop song or whatever, because I'll be like, it is our listener's birthday. I'm trying to make them feel special. The second thing is Christmas. Like, look at even just this saris that we're in. 2 months before Christmas, washaanza, right? And I need, like, at least this Christmas was much better. There was a lot of, like, urban Kenyan Christmas carols being remixed and things like that. But we need more, because those are high times, especially for traditional media, where we bombard the public with this music. And it's such an easy way to just, like, break in, especially if you're a new artist, and get heavy rotation. We play 2 Christmas carols per hour the whole day, like until midnight, right? So imagine how much airplay that is. And if people constantly are hearing that, then they'll love it. So, I mean, that's another way to Penya.
Okay, so once I kuandike birthday specials. I really want to jump into Q&As because I think guys have questions. But for anyone taking notes, it's grit. Grit is super important. Like, we won't be able to do this without just a thick skin. All these guys, Adele, I know her from Kinanda, when it was like 12 people. There's so many things. There's grit. There's being really good at what you're doing. There's something that Troy and Space both touched on that we miss as a younger audience: relationship. Imagine, I know so many, these guys will tell you the same thing. This whole biashara, the reason why it's called, it's Illuminati, it's a cartel, even the dentists have their own. It's called Kenya Dentist Association. No one will give you work if they don't know you, right? That's literally how it works. Relation. He talked about Naiboy and an exclusive. You've heard about his relationships. You can be really good, but no one will know you're really good on SoundCloud. You have to literally leave the house and get people to know you and like you, and so that the next opportunity that comes up, they do whatever. So great. One more thing, then I take 1 or 2 questions.
So it's funny you say that, because we had a conversation the other day, and we were telling some artists that when you release a song and put it on YouTube, first just remember that you're competing with Elvis Presley, Bob Marley, and Michael Jackson. They're all on the same platform.
And Diamond.
And Diamond.
My God.
So it means, 1, you have to be really good. Your song has to be really good. 2, it means just putting your song on YouTube and chilling, you need to give Troy or Adele a reason not to listen to Bob Marley and listen to your reggae song. You need a second or third or fourth edge to push the song out there. And something else she said just the other day when we had state functions after elections, and I went through hell when I was told to do strictly patriotic Kenyan music.
Wow.
And and it hit me. I only had 4 songs. 4 Kenyan patriotic
we can
songs.
even count them.
Tushangilie Kenya. That one. And then you do one Kayamba. And you do...
Kenya.
No. Reja Whittaker.
Oh.
My land is Kenya.
You guys, you know that song, what she said, My Land is Kenya?
Yeah.
That is played everywhere? It's a commercial. It's like singing the Omo song.
Yeah.
Guys, just think about that. That guy was paid by KTB of 1900s to do a song about Kenya that got accepted into our psyche because there's nothing else. Like, it was never a guy who sang a song because he liked Kenya. No. Alilipwado. It's true. So, opportunities. Guys, I need to get some questions because we are being... we'll do maybe some questions from here, some questions from there, then we wrap.
Hi. So, first of all, shout out to ONGEA. It's not every day you're seated next to Gilad. So I have 2 questions, one for Troy and one for Polycarp. My first question goes to Troy. So I work with this guy, my boy, and like we have a fan base. I make music and he raps, you know, the typical story. So recently he got hit up by Prezo and his, Compact Records. What's your take on artists signing other artists, you know, like Kenyan artist, let me say established, because I don't know about Prezo other than time. Okay. Artists signing other artists. That's basically the question. Then the second question goes to Polycarp. So Tisol, I believe you guys have worked with like the biggest of the biggest in Africa with Wizkid, Pato Ranking, and all that. Like, those guys are talented, yes. But in Kenya, we also have talented guys like Kinanyashinsky and Calligraph. Like, you guys like are A-list African artists. So like, what do these other Kenyan A-list, not African A-list, what do these other Kenyan A-list artists have to do, like, to get to that other level of stardom, you know, like the Wizkid? Because talent is constant, kila mtu akona talent, but what do they have to do to get to Sauti Soul's level?
Cool. Before we answer them, let's get a bunch of them, then we answer them into. So you guys remember your questions, huh?
Oh, shoot. I got ADD, man.
Me too.
There's no way I'm going to remember.
I'll remind you. It's just
I'm like this right now, like.
We're running out of time. Let's take that guy, then we take her question. Guys, also, let us summarize our points of view. Okay? Sawa.
Yeah, so I'm Chismo. Yep. Oh, hello everyone. I'm Chismo the Believer. I'm a new generation artist or whatever. I know you're going to hear about me. So first, let me say to Polycarp, great job with melanin, man. That guy like me, I like that. So
Thank you, bro.
So mine was with the target market. How do you know who to target with your market? Like Adele said, like how do you specifically as an artist or as a producer, how do you, realize?
How do you find that audience?
Yeah, that audience. So
are you a rapper, singer, producer? What are you really good at?
Production and rap, dancehall.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
I think maybe, let me take that. Cool. Next, there. The guy with the strip shirt.
Hi, my name is Kelvin.
Okay. Do you do voiceovers? Do you want a job?
No, but I could do. I could try. So my name is Kelvin, and I wanted to ask this question. The previous session we had, we were talking about Kenya not having a universal sound, because Nigeria has their sound, TZ have a sound, UG, Ghana, and I wanted to ask, do you think we need a universal sound? And what could, from Adele and the DJ and Polycarp...
He's called Space.
DJ Space.
Not
DJ Space. Sorry, man. DJ Space, Adele, and the producers. What could radio and DJs and producers do to help us, Kenya, to get a sound that is ours? We can do Mogidi, whatever we are doing, but we have that signature sound that is Kenya.
Okay, cool. I think maybe Adele and Space take that when time comes. Let's take, there's a question here. There's a Ray Day with a question over here.
Hi, my name is Okinda. I'm in Gravity Band. My question, I will address it to Adele, I think. I would like you to address this culture of radio presenters wanting things from artists so that they play their music, because we do not have things to give. We are starting out, Yani, we don't have things to give. So people who want 50,000 to play your song 4 times in a month or stuff like that, and then, and yeah, asanteni.
Okay, maybe one more question, then we address them. Guys, you know how Mike will kill me? They've started muting my mic. Hello? Let me take one question from there. Then we address them quickly, then we see if we can do another round.
Hello, I'm Xavier, artist, producer. I want to ask your view. Yeah, you remember, like, in September 2017, there was a research about the value of the entertainment industry in Kenya. That was 200 billion. And they projected a growth for 8 to 2020. So as an artist and producer, and also as a DJ, what ways can we take advantage of it, to get into the growth aspect and also earn something, and also the value that you see in it?
Okay, cool. So let's start the other way around so that we don't forget the value question. Do you want to address that? Because money is like your... Maybe we start with that, then we come this way. So we'll probably end with Troy. I remember your question. Was it tense? I remember yours. So let's start with this question for value of how to tap into it.
Okay. So honestly, you know, it all starts with demand. It all starts with consumption. If there's more consumption for international music, that's where the value will be. That's where the money will go to. Basically, that's where the income will flow to. So hence, it's important, you know, to start supporting local music. You know, going to shows, buying the music, listening to the music on radio, requesting the music on radio. It's really, really important to grow the local music. And, you know, on the production side, I mean, I can imagine it would have to take, you know, like learning instruments, learning how to play them, learning how to write songs, just being more creative, putting quality music out there. But yeah, like value comes from consuming the music. So if there's more consumption on the local end, then you'll start seeing even the brands wanting to use local songs to appeal to their market.
Which is happening. I think that started maybe in the last 5 years, because if you were alive in the 80s and the 90s, you remember all the music was foreign sounding, guys. Sorry to the non-Kenyans. But it's true what you're saying. The value... but what she's saying about value makes sense, because now these guys' songs are on jingles. Yeah. Their songs have gotten sync licensing deals. So...
Yeah, we just need more support, more consumption, you know. I mean, we see it's happening in South Africa as well. We also had the same issue. But now that the guys are coming with their own local hip-hop sound, like, it's crazy. It's like, oh my word, you know, like we're seeing a lot more support. We're seeing more consumption. People are filling up stadiums now. Like, it's a thing. It's goosebumps. It's like, it's amazing. So... yeah, like be patriotic, like, you know, consume more so that we can see the value chain and we can see the incomes, you know, flowing into the local artists and the local brands instead of money always going out of the country.
Cool. Maybe you want to do the payola question? Nyinyi watu wa radio, taking money and...
during my intro, Tim did say... that I don't take things, but I do know, I'm very aware that it's happening, right? Where even with DJs, radio presenters, people on TV, so we're seeing more and more of artists getting fed up and anikaing these people online or on other media forums, right? So yes, it's wrong. It shouldn't be happening. More so, if you have a product that you fully believe in, regardless of whether it's music or modeling or, you know those adverts to get a jobo, register with 1,000 bob, it should never, ever happen. That's wrong. But I think it's also important for artists, because when I just started radio, there was an artist from Nakuru, and they were doing some amazing hip-hop, all the way in Nakuru. And I was just like, how do I get these guys on my show in Nairobi? You get. So finally, they happened to be in Nairobi, so we had an interview. And I gave them this interview. I didn't know them. I'd bumped into their music on Facebook. And their song was good. It was on heavy rotation at the station that I was working on. And then they went back to Nakuru. And when they had another single, they sent it to me, but it didn't work for the station. And a couple of months later, the lead manager / main vocalist of the entire group said that, you know, I can send you this much money. And I was very insulted, but at the same time I realized, no, maybe he's being asked for that around, and that's why he thought it was okay. So I sat him down and I told him, okay, first and foremost, even if you pay me the radio presenter, I'm not head of music. When I'm premiering songs, and you guys know, I've called artists and told them, by the way, I'm creating a rumor about you to justify why I'm playing your song so that my boss doesn't start asking me questions, yeah? You're paying the radio presenter, but are they really the heart of the music engine in the entire station, right?
So we should pay the...
No, wait. So when you... No, wait. You let me finish. So when you do an audit of who is your link into getting you airplay in the TV station, in the radio station, when you have those conversations with those people, I have not met even one who doesn't go through all the music that is dropped at stations, because guess what? It's their job, right? The person who does it at our station is a guy called James Joroge. And there's songs that pass me that he sends to me. Because guess what? There's some artists who know this is the person I'm going to be sending my music to as well as the presenter, right? So, yes, it's wrong for radio presenters, for TV, for, I don't know, now DJs, you'll have to explain what happens there. But for radio and TV guys, to be asking for money, it shouldn't happen, yeah? But I think it's also important to know the different levels in the media houses and who exactly can effectively help you. Another thing is that if you unnika these people, it's easier for us to point out where the issue is, right? Because I know there's a fear of being blacklisted. But I think it'll take a revolution, because guess what? You've told me, yeah, there's guys asking for things. Chances are you won't tell me who it is. But how am I going to help? Because the next time I interact with that person, I'll be like, by the way, I've heard you're asking for A, B, C, D, and embarrass them and make them stop. But if we just sit in our corner saying, yeah, we've heard that they asked for 10K, they asked for 20K or whatever, and then it ends, there's no accountability, there's no end to the problem, right? There's no end to the problem. And I'd hate to think, personally, that I'm being lumped with people who are asking for chums just because maybe I'm hanging out with them. And it's because I don't know. I don't know. And I would love to call them out. I would love to call them out. So I know it's a lot asking from you guys to tell us, but I don't see us getting to the end of that issue without names, because then I'm not equipped to help. You get? Or he's not equipped to help and call out the DJs in his industry who are asking for things. I only know of rumors.
Can I interject on that?
Yeah.
Payola, which she brought up, and that's the proper name for it, and you mentioned it, has been around since the beginning of the music industry. It's not going to go anywhere. You can call out so-and-so, you could say so-and-so. It's not going to stop. So you just got to deal with it. I'm not saying it's right, but it's in the music industry in the States heavily. It's actually very illegal, but they figure out ways how to get around it. And it's like that in Europe, it's like that here, it's like that everywhere. So it's something that, I'm sorry to say.
Yeah, because there's also going to be, not devil's advocate, but like a bad angel advocate.
But if you're going to pay, right? If you're going, again, if it's a product and you want to pay for
yeah,
it,
like,
can you
even the
pay
soda.
for, I know Sauti Soul, you wanted to do a promotion for their EP. Like the way Safcom comes to Kiss and says, we have a new product and we want to do a promo for it and we're paying this much, which I thought was very interesting. And I was like, I like that approach. Because yes, you're putting in money, but it's to market a product, right? It's not bribing because you're advertising. It's an arm of advertising. But if it's putting in money, and you'd be surprised how cheap it is to get a spot ad as well on some radio stations, right? So that move by you people actually got me thinking about maybe more artists should do something like that. But in terms of me, I still maintain. Mulika, because...
Name them.
Yeah, name them, because it might not end, but at least you'll have saved someone else from being asked for money. Because, I mean, I would love to think that there has to be some sort of accountability, because it's locking out so many young artists, right?
Now, imagine I have to cut you. Thank you very much. The question on the Kenyan sound. At the back, because you're going like this, there's the Kenyan sound. We'll address them. Like, my mic is about to die. The Kenyan sound. Space and Polycarp. Me, I'll jump into it at the end. Like, literally popcorn answers, because there's more. Like,
so, I really don't think we need to struggle to create a Kenyan sound. There's a time where Kapuka was big, Team, you dissed it. And then
I just did a song.
Justin Bieber brought it back with Sorry, Clean Bandits, made tunes with it. I mean, think about it. Psy did Gangnam Style. He's the biggest artist in Korea. Does it make it a Korean sound? No. Sometimes I think the sound is synonymous to the artist. Sauti Sol have a good thing going on. Nyashinsky have a good thing going on. Sometimes I think if the artist works hard and builds a huge catalog or discography, sometimes that ends up being the sound of that particular town or country. We talk about Kwaito all the time. Kwaito was not an endorsed sound from the South African Ministry of Music and Culture. It started in Johannesburg in the 90s. Guys like Mendoza or all those guys. And sometimes you have 2-3 artists come up with a style or writing and programming or producing, and that becomes the sound of the city and another city and another town. I think what we need to talk about or focus on is more hits, good music that's well written, well arranged, well mixed and mastered. And sometimes when you have 10 artists do that and use common language like what Wasafi are doing with Diamond, Harmonize, and Rayvanny. Right now, if you're someone what's the Tanzanian sound, chances are they'll point you to what Wasafi are doing. You get? It's not that Wasafi are the endorsed sound by the Ministry of Culture in Tanzania. Sometimes the sound is synonymous to the successful artists in that town. So I just think we overthink this thing called Kenyan sound. Gilad is doing great music. Would you call it a Kenyan sound? Is it a Gilad sound? If you have 10 artists like Gilad do the same kind of music, and that's what the world knows, sometimes that becomes the identity of the kind of music that comes out of Nairobi. That's what I think. We just complicate it. Does it mean Calligraph is not doing a Kenyan sound? Is he doing good music? Yes. Is he a good rapper? Of course. So I think we just need to support the guys who are doing great things in the music industry. Sometimes when we support those 3, 4, 10, 15 artists, then we end up coming, we have a good thing going on. I think we overthink this thing called a Kenyan sound.
Yeah, and just to add on to that and combine the question that you asked with the same question that we are responding to. So I believe sound comes with trial as well and consistency. So when you say Kenyan artist, thank you first of all for considering us as A-list African artists. And for Kenyan artists, I work right now. That's how I feel. And just this year, from January, Space can attest to this as a DJ. There's so much content that has been released in the past 2 months only. And it's already shaping up the Kenyan industry. And we just need to release content. And from that, we will, get to the next level 100%. So just release content, trial, consistency, keep releasing. And the sound, I believe, if it's what we're looking for, it will come. Yeah.
The last question, which was, is he the guy who is an artist, who is trying to...
Artist, managing artist.
Yes.
Yes.
ADD5. What do ADD stand up?
When you get my age and you start remembering stuff, you got to celebrate it. That goes 2 ways. We actually, Temple Management, we've signed the entire Kaka empire. So Kaka is an intelligent, creative, unbelievable businessman. He's an artist first. He was an artist first. But because he's intelligent, because he knows the business of music, and because he's creative, signing underneath a guy like him, good job. I'm not going to name any bad artists that sign artists, but you should know how someone is presenting themselves. You should know, their financials, how well they're doing, if they're an artist and they're telling you that they're going to make you hot but they're not hot. It just doesn't work. And I see that happen so many times. Guys have a good game of talking, but they don't have a track record. But then they're trying to manage artists, and they're an artist, and they really haven't even taken off themselves. But there are plenty of successful guys, from a Diddy to a Jay-Z, who now have empires built off of, first they were artists, and now they have empires underneath of them. So it can go either way. You just have to know whether or not this cat is a true businessman or if he's just about it for the entertainment side. If he's an artist that's strictly entertainment, stay far away from him. But if you see that this person has a business acumen, and they're trustworthy. I forgot that. Trustworthy. And they're trustworthy, then, give them a shot.
Cool. I think let's take a couple of more questions. Wewe umejibu. So, sorry. No, imagine. Let's give someone a stand. Three more, please.
Mike is looking at you, Tim.
Mike, just 3 more. Mike, Aki, please. Nakuomba, please. Okay, one more question, then we wrap it up. From her. The lady with the specs.
Thank you. So the first round, I was seated at the back. I thought you didn't see me, so I came in the front. You picked one from the back.
Focus and grit. I see. I like that.
So, yes, I love this opportunity, and thank you. So I'd like to see more plus-size women in music videos. I love Melanin. It was written by my friend, or co-written by my friend.
Viri.
Yes. We grew up with him. But yes, I would also love to see more plus-size women, and also songs on grit, like hustle, to just encourage the young people to just keep going. I also would love more music to do with branding our country. I think people listen more to Nigerian music, or when it comes to Africa, they think of Africa in terms of what they've seen about Nigeria or what they've seen about South Africa. I work in the film industry, so I'm working on branding my country in the film industry, but I would also want more branding in terms of music in my country. Yes.
Okay, that was a statement, so I think we'll take it under advisement. A question. I need a question. The guy at the back. Him, you, turning around.
Wait,
Yes.
Who's your father?
We'll talk about that. Yes. Anyway, yes. My question is about marketing. It goes to anyone who has an answer to it, including you guys. Nilikuwa nashangaa, we have the same strategy, one common strategy of marketing our music. Like when I go to studio, record my music, I go line up like other artists, knock on Adele's door. Adele, I have this music, can you play it? My question is, do we have, apart from that, I'll do that. Is there anything else I can do to market my music? Even if it's like going to the fans, how can I get these fans? Because I'm going to Adele because she already has the fans with her. How did she get those fans? Can I get to the fans directly instead of going through Adele or something? Now, my second question is about the sound. Does lyrics define a sound?
I think you've answered your question as far as what to do, like what you're talking about, having the same strategy. It's painful to hear, but I think the business of beats, which is what we're talking about, is just like any other. It's like farming, it's like going to med school, it's like banking. There are rules. And for me, those rules are the same. Be very good, start within your space. Start within your space. As you've answered your own question, grow your fan base. It'll be very hard for anyone up here, not because they are bad guys, because they have already made their own networks, to notice you when you have 2 fans. That's how life works. if I was a young lawyer, siwezi enda kuongea na AG, sindio? I have to start in my small, represent my friend who's been chikwad for a traffic offense. So that's how we start. We all have that friend who is a lawyer who we call when we are nabbed by cops. The same thing works for business. So by the time Space or Adele or Troy or this guy asking you, let's collaborate, it's because you're on your way there.